Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anyone Can Click. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you 10 photographs, all of which have been clicked from a cell phone, and I will take you through the thought process and the techniques behind each of them. So, if you're someone who loves to take a lot of photographs from their cell phone, and if you're a little bit curious to know how small changes can actually make a big difference to the final photograph, then this video is for you. Also, a small disclaimer that I would actually be showing you physical prints of the photographs in today's episode. So you're going to observe a little bit of glare from the light. Please ignore that. And on that note, without further ado, let's begin. The first picture is the interior of the beautiful city palace in Udaipur. One way to take this photograph would be like this. But by zooming out a little and including the adjacent room, it is now a much more compelling photograph. And this is for three reasons. First, the color contrast between the warm orange tones against the cool blue room. Such pairing really makes the individual colors pop. Second, each arch and doorway acts like a frame within the picture, leading your eyes from one room to the next. And third, this open doorway on the left also hints at something more to be explored, which makes the scene feel intriguing and alive. Now, this photograph could be taken like this, but shifting it to the side makes this image markedly better for three reasons. First, the composition uses the rule of thirds that suggests dividing an image into a 3x3 grid and placing key elements along the lines or at their intersections to create balance and visual interest. Second, this shift leaves room for the path to act as a natural leading line towards the lake and the hills beyond. And third, the bright blues and greens pop against the house, making the photo more lively. Speaking of leading lines, alleys or narrow lanes easily can be used to add depth to photographs. The walls on each side naturally create leading lines that guide the viewer's eye towards the background. At the same time, once again, the warm orange walls and the cool blue sky, which are in fact complementary colors, really shine in this pairing. Another technique to create dynamic and pleasing photographs is to look for spirals. A simple way to try this is by photographing a spiral staircase from below, like in this picture. You see, our brains are naturally wired to recognize and appreciate patterns, making the repeating steps and railings inherently pleasing. It gives the image a sense of continuity and rhythm. And finally, the black and white treatment enhances details and contrasts of the image. Without color distraction, the focus shifts directly to the intricate play of light and shadow, making the spiral effect even more dramatic. Next four images were all taken on a beach, but each one tells a different story. So let's begin with another technique to create artistic shots: long exposure. Take a look at this image. It is a simple moment, but put a few of these moments together and you have a memory that now looks less like a photograph and more like a painting. This is one way of taking this photograph, but let's tweak that a little to see how we can make it better. And instantly, three things stand out. By zooming out, we add negative space from the vast sky and sea. This instantly adds a sense of calmness and openness to the image that shifts focus from the child to the mood of the morning. The composition once again makes use of the rule of thirds. And third, the reflection. Now, reflections are powerful compositional tools that can enhance depth, symmetry, and mood in an image. Now, contrary to the last image, this one uses different elements to capture the moment. The first is the time of day. Shooting around sunset helps because the lower angle of the sun creates softer, warmer light, and this gentle light is ideal for portraits. Additionally, the light is streaming in from the side, which helps by creating soft shadows that give the image a strong visual impact. Point number 2, I opted for a tight, centered framing so that all the attention stays on the subject and their connection, because to me, that was more important in this moment. And point number 3, the vantage point. I decided to hold the phone upside down, very close to the water, to achieve a low-angle perspective. This adds a sense of depth and immersion by bringing more of the water surface into view. This image, once again a scene from the beach, but a very different mood. The image speaks few words but communicates volumes of emotions. If you notice, the light source this time is behind the subject, and by exposing for the sky, I was able to create a strong silhouette effect. This technique lets the rich colors of the sky stand out while allowing the subject to tell a subtle yet a powerful story. Another important point, if you notice, is the choice of the aspect ratio or dimensions. Instead of using a default aspect ratio, I opted for a wider frame, expanding the field of view. This adds to the immersive feel of the image. Now, this photograph uses one of the most effective techniques for making the most of your scene, and that is frame within a frame. We intentionally positioned ourselves within the rectangular opening in the wall. This natural frame helps draw attention towards the subject, in this case ourselves, while also adding structure and depth to the image. Both of these photographs are similar. They both draw their impact from the following techniques. First is vertical perspective, which emphasizes the grand scale and towering architecture. This perspective naturally leads the viewer's eye upwards, creating a sense of awe. The second is leading lines. Both the images use strong vertical and diagonal lines, whether from columns, arches, or ceiling beams, once again to guide the eye deeper into the scene. And third is symmetry and balance. The near perfect symmetry in both these photos enhances their visual impact. Once again, for Westminster Abbey, I opted for monochrome. I felt the colors didn't contribute as much as the black and white treatment did, drawing attention to the Gothic details, making this photograph so much more dramatic in its monochromatic rendition. In this photograph, we will understand a very important setting, the EV dial. If you're shooting dark scenes, think night photography, auditorium shows, concerts, or moody low-light shots, use the EV slider to lower the brightness. This helps preserve the true atmosphere of the scene, preventing your phone from automatically making everything too bright and washed out. This is the difference. Remember, if it's dark, make it darker. These 11 photographs showcase a range of techniques, and while they may seem numerous, they can actually be grouped into some very specific categories. And over the course of the next few videos, we are going to break it down and we're going to make sense of these categories in the practical world. But one thing will remain at the core of it, and that is the art of seeing. And let me tell you what I mean. For instance, if you shift your gaze and look at the background behind me, you will suddenly become aware of a tree which appears to be sticking out of my head. Something which you would not have noticed up until now, but once you see it, you absolutely cannot unsee it. On that note, I am going to meet you again next week with part 2 of our composition series. If you've missed part 1, don't worry, you're going to find the link to that in the description box below. Until then, take care. Bye.